Some people are very famous. Other people, well, they're kind of famous. But most of us, we're not famous at all. But we all have something in common. Everybody's got at least one great story. And welcome to Their Stories. This is your host, Mike Cotton. And once again, we've got another intriguing, fascinating guest, somebody from the arts, from the photography world, and specializing in, just guess, my favorite music, the blues and American roots music. And she does this as a hobby, kind of, and but I'll tell you, the quality of the photography is sometimes as good, if not better, than the so-called professionals that get big money. But I think she does a lot of what she does because she just loves it. She loves the artist and she loves the music, and she does a lot for the music because constantly putting these photographs out, people become interested. Well, who are these people, and what is this music? And then they kind of get hooked in. I've been hooked since I was 5 years old. My dad's nightclub in Atlanta, so I've been around it now. I'm going on my 70th year, so I shouldn't even say that, Mark. I know I don't look a day over 65, right? And we got Mark Schultz over here, Mr. Snoopy. He's our incredible producer and sidekick. So, Mark, you got any jokes for today or anything?
Not right now, but I'll share one later.
Okay, sounds good. Hey, folks, without further ado, let's welcome my special guest today. I've been knowing this lady a long time, and she's brought a lot of her photographs along, and then we're going to direct you to Facebook where you can see hundreds more of her shots, including one of yours truly when he had the band called The Rockets. It's one of my favorite photos, and I guess I'm biased, but so what? Welcome, Ruth. Thanks for coming by to visit us here at Their Stories.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here and talking with you about the blues and photography and all things wonderful associated with that.
Let's we like to kind of jump back in people's earlier lives, even when they were kids, teenagers. Tell us. I know I kind of went through your bio with you, but and we kind of have some parallel tracks there of where you've lived and were brought up. So let's talk about where were you mainly from and spend your early years?
I'm mainly from the Atlanta area where I lived for 45 years.
My hometown, folks.
Yes, and spent, when I was 15, for about 10 years until I was 25, I was an usher for rock concerts, theater plays, all kinds of different genres of music, and then
was the Fox Theater, was that one of the venues?
Fox Theater was one of them.
That's been
the old Municipal Auditorium,
right?
A Civic Center, Symphony Hall, and then all of a sudden I took an interest in blues music, and I've never looked back. I've been touting the blues world for a long time, and I've become, through my photography, I've become friends with numerous well-known musicians, and I'm a huge supporter of blues music and will promote every artist that I come across and know.
What did you get into photography, doing other types of work before you got interested in the blues, or which came first, the camera or the blues?
Oh, well, I would say it's probably a combination of both, because when I was in the Atlanta area, I did volunteer photography for the Atlanta Blues Society. Now, that was before the advent of digital photography. So that was mainly film.
35 millimeter.
And that was an expensive hobby back then because it's not cheap to print film. Now with digital, I can shoot as much as I want, and 9 times out of 10 it's always way too many, but that way I have more to work with on what I ultimately keep.
Well, we do a lot of video, and we even call it film, but it's a generic term. It's like calling Publix tissue Kleenex. It's to everybody, or Bush Hog. There's 50 companies that make mowers now. They're all
right.
Bush Hog. It's generic.
Exactly. And then about the year 2013 or so, I collaborated with Michael Yanko of Rock Legends Photographers and Blues Concert Photos, and was able to work with him, and still do to this day, on that helps me get photo approval and media access to blues festivals.
Earlier when we were having a meeting, did you say that you have some of your images on his website?
Yes, I do. He switched the website over to a betterdj.net. He switched everything over to that one website, but it's still technically Rock Legends Photographers and Blues Concert Photos.
So if you type that in, you would probably go to the new name. A lot of times that'll just
Right,
transfer you over.
but keep in mind there's more than one photographer that posts on there besides myself.
Sure, yeah, I'm just saying.
It's him and his girlfriend, Michelle.
You're primarily posting on your Facebook page?
Pardon me?
You primarily posting your pictures on your online on your
Yes,
Facebook page, which is
primarily
fine.
there. Plus, once in a while, in addition to Facebook, I'll post a link to the online website where I post some of them.
Gotcha. So, 45 years down the road, you're getting into blues, you're taking photographs, you're in Atlanta. When did you leave Atlanta, and where'd you go?
I left Atlanta. I retired from the federal government, the VA, after working almost 33 years in the home loans, January of 2010. And as soon as I retired, I took my car that was filled up full of stuff and drove down to Loxley, Alabama, and that's where I've been ever since.
And for people out in wherever, Loxley is Alabama, but if you know what your maps look like, Pensacola is so far west in Florida. We're on Central Time, and from where I live, which is off of exit 5 of I-10, the next exit is, 18 miles. In fact, you'll go to Buc-ee's in Alabama to get off. At that point, you've gone too far. But Loxley and Baldwin County, and all, it's all kind of like, if you take away the lines of demarcation, it's kind of like all one. I look at Northwest Florida and South Alabama, it's almost one big community. I've been involved in the surfing world for many years until my hip went south a couple years ago. But it's the same. The surfers in Gulf Shores know the ones over in Navarre, let's say.
Right. Well, see,
it's kind of local, you know.
Right. Well, Loxley was well known for Burris Farm Market.
Oh yeah.
The big tourist attraction, and that's been torn down because the owners retired, and now they're going to put in a Wawa gas station.
Okay. Now, of course, you got Porch Creek Indians have that's nearby there, the Oa Water Park, which is humongous.
That's in Foley.
Yeah. Well, and you could throw a rock in it Foley.
Right.
You're right there. Do you know that land that Oa is on? My understanding is NASCAR came in originally and wanted to build a Southern Alabama NASCAR track, and I think the locals, Mark's nodding his head. Had you heard this story?
Yeah.
That the locals, because of the noise, shot it down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd been right by the beach, huh? That'd have been pretty cool.
That's cool. Well, most of my music events that I go to are the Monday Night Blues Jam at Seville Quarter in Pensacola.
I was there Monday night.
Sponsored by the Blues Society of Northwest Florida. And now that I have a Sun Pass for my car, I'm going to start going back again more often to Paradise Bar and Grill in Pensacola Beach, Florida for outdoor music events. And since 2022, I know I've been to over 100 shows.
I believe it.
At Ground Zero Blues Club, Biloxi.
I was lucky. Was over there, and they were not open, but I had to show up, and I knew one of the engineers, and he says, "Come on in." He says, "We're doing a little soft opening. They're going to have a band, but this is not like the real deal yet." And so it was interesting talking to them, and you know how Morgan Freeman's involved in that club. Is the one everybody knew was up in Clarksdale at the Crossroads, but this one in Biloxi's, I don't know how much, 5 times bigger, I guess. It's a concert club, great food, and you never know who's going to show up. And some of the top blues, R&B, and they mix it up a little bit. So if you're in Biloxi and you don't want to gamble, you go across the street, and there's Ground Zero, and just fantastic. Then I got invited back for the grand opening, and I think Bobby Rush, he headlined. had he turned 90, he was close to turning 90 at that point. And
Might have. I believe
Yeah.
he's over 90 now.
People don't know, I used to produce a lot of festivals. I probably produced over 300 national concerts. I've probably been involved in 30 different festivals. In fact, this week I'm going over to play music with the Kelly Hunley band and a former Allman Brother at the Thunder Beach Motorcycle Rally over in Panama City Beach. So I mean that's a little festival now that draws something like 80,000 motorcycles. But blues and blues rock and southern rock is a predominant music. Are the greatest lines. So enough about me and my history. So Ruth, so now you're up and running. You're down here. So you just started going out there. We have a lot of younger people that are going to hear this. I'm on a lot of Facebook pages where kids are trying to get into acting, photography. Almost everybody in our organization almost started in photography. That's where we started. I started photography, and you just kind of go on to these other technologies. But they're all first cousins. It's like jazz and blues somewhat. The Jazz Society is actually doing a blues cruise next month. I don't know if you've heard about this.
I heard.
Yeah. So I mean, we've talked to them for over the years. In fact, Norm Vickers, who's since passed away, was a longtime president. He says, "Oh, all the stuff you know about jazz, you should be the president of the Jazz Society." I said, "I can't. I'm the founder of the Blues Society, but we'll help you any way we can." So I think it's kind of neat that we're kind of coming together, as a force and doing that. But you're going to get probably a lot of older jazz people are going to go.
Exactly.
That's where it came from, the blues.
Exactly, because I think from what I remember, you and I met at the American Legion.
It's very possible. Which one? Is that the one on 12th Avenue?
And I have the name of the band that was playing slipped my mind, but I was behind you in line, and we got to talking, and we friended up.
I played there at that one that's got the Chappie James thing out on 12th Avenue here, and that's predominantly a black American Legion. But we had gotten the Rockets, who you had a picture of. We'll get the picture of the Rockets up. It's a pretty wild-looking picture. And we got picked up by a guy named they call Spider around here. Been around music and the arts since actually back in what they call the Blocks days, where Five Sisters is. That was actually like a miniature Harlem back in the day in Pensacola. Love to do a film about it, but we just can't find any film, photograph. Most of the people are passed away now that were there, but it was pretty wild. They had the the 101 Club, the Bunny Club, and stories I've been told is just like at the Apollo, they would sneak in white kids into the balcony in certain parts of the club, and then when nobody's looking, the white kids are jumping down on the dance floor, getting with the brothers and sisters and boogieing down, which is what it's all about. But that neighborhood is coming back somewhat. We've got Five Sisters, they book blues, and there's some other clubs over there, and but not quite what it is. I have a good friend. I don't know if you ever met Joey Gilmore when he would come up from Miami. He's kind of like a young
I remember King. Joey Gilmore. He has a band.
Well, he's since passed away. He passed away about a year or two ago.
Right.
Yeah. Joey was South Florida's kind of their B.B. King.
I was Facebook friends with him.
Yeah, and he came to Paradise actually in Pensacola Beach. Booked him several times, and he flipped out when I'd show up. He goes, "God, you're everywhere." Well, I'm not everywhere, but Joey was a great guy. He brought us in because my band Shades of Blue, which was around for a couple of decades. Down there, I got my foot in the door actually in the Chitlin circuit in Florida, and we had, for a while, we were the only all-white, there were some integrated bands, only all-white blues band playing the Chitlin circuit. And folks, if you don't know, these are the clubs that are, I guess, with all due respect, you could say they're in the hood, they're in the black communities. And so, when you see a guy like Bobby Rush and you don't know what is this act, this is what they were doing.
The Chitlin circuit.
Yeah, the 40s, and right. Chitlins are good too if you like them. I eat those. That's good. That's like, that's like the outer skin of the hog, right? But that story, that's a whole other thing where I was getting ready to produce a show called Shades of Blue on radio, and the rock stations all showed me the door and said, "Blues is dead. Nobody's going to listen to this." The black stations took an interest in what I was doing, so I ended up on these urban stations, which is what they call a black-oriented station that does R&B and soul and Aretha Franklin, that kind of music. So I thought, like, well, this all came from the blues. So it was kind of ironic. Here's this white kid on the black stations playing the blues, and I used to kid all the brothers and sisters. Yeah, you should go talk to your grandmother. She really knows music much better than you, because she'd tell you to listen to what I'm playing, So I'll be down there next week, and I'll barge it on some of these DJs that I used to work with. But that was, then they started saying, wait, we went out here to your band. We got parties for you in clubs, and you're coming with us. And, that was, to be accepted like that, it really, it meant a lot because,
Yes.
it's, originally it was their music, so to speak. It's everybody's music now, but, that's derogatory things have been said about the blues, sometimes from the African American community. I said, why white folks like the blues? It's got a good beat and you can dance to it.
Exactly.
It's fun. I mean, there's some sad stuff too, but blues gets rid of the blues. To me, it's the medicine to make you happy. So.
Well, blues music and the lyrics involved and the way it's presented, they all tell a story.
Yeah.
And you just have to tune in and listen.
Yeah, my
the
mother
words.
was a very religious woman, and she supported us. My dad supported us. I mean, they always support us in the arts. But she always had this comment, Mike, I love, in her southern drawl, Mike, I love your music. I just don't like the words. And I go, Mom, you're going to go to church tomorrow morning, right? And I said, we're going to do gospel, right? She goes, yeah. I said, it's the same music. It's just different words. We're singing about the here and now, and tomorrow we're going to be singing about the hereafter. So I said,
Right.
That's why a lot of blues artists, especially in the black community, start out in the church, they go to the blues, they get elderly, and a lot of times they come back, like Denise LaSalle, and they came back and they'll do gospel albums, later on. Yeah, I guess you start feeling your mortality. I feel mine, and but I try to overlook that, and I'm in denial, so whatever. I'm going to keep on trucking for a couple more years. But it's they how closely they're connected is huge. I mean, the funny part in the Blues Brothers movie where they're in the church, and James Brown is the preacher.
Right.
And it shows right there. It's like you got the blues, the gospel going on all at the same time, and the church is just going off, and everybody's dancing everywhere, and it's a wild scene. So let's go. So I'm going to talk about a little younger Ruth Spicer. She's out there. So now you want to take pictures of these artists. I mean, you take pictures of anybody, but of these artists. What did you do? Because you just don't walk in all the time. Now, there's certain artists are very approachable, and I find, because I did radio interviews and stuff in the blues and rock community and the country community, I found that the blues artists, even the big ones like a B.B. King, are very approachable. They don't have a bunch of people between you and them all the time. Or, go ask Bob and he'll set it up and we'll do it, So
Right.
Is that what you're finding, or was it difficult to get to some of these people?
It's not hard at all to get to some of these people, especially if you do the same, take photographs for like the same festival year after year. Like I do King Biscuit every year. I was doing Baton Rouge Blues Festival every year, but except for the 2 years during the pandemic, but the past 2 years I didn't go over there and do that because I had too much else going on.
Right.
And
you can't be everywhere either,
And I was also doing Bogalusa Blues in the Heritage Festival in Bogalusa, Louisiana, but they didn't hold the festival last year.
Have you gone on one of these blues cruises?
No, I don't.
Being on a ship for a week is not your cup of tea.
I'm not a cruise person.
No. I played on them, but down in South Florida they have Cruise to Nowhere, which just goes out past the line so they can open the casinos. And it was kind of weird. The first couple of trips we took out, you just go there about 5, get on the boat, and you play 2 1-hour shows. And I mean, I don't know what they're thinking, but they're giving the musicians an open buffet and an open bar all at the same time. It's a big old party for us too, Usually you're not supposed to be doing that, but we went on those boats, and the seas were pretty rough, and we're in the bow. There's a stage in the bow of the boat, so the boat would go up, and then it would go down, and you feel like you're like standing in air trying to play. It was the strangest feeling. But I guess these cruises now. I mean, they got cruises for bikers even, and jazz people, and on and on and on. And whatever you're into, there's some kind of cruise out there for you. Some are not just 3 days. Some of them go out for like a week.
A lot of people enjoy doing the blues cruises and stuff, but I find, in my personal opinion, they're a bit too expensive for my taste. And plus, a lot of the bands that perform on the blues cruises, I can go to Ground Zero Blues Club in Biloxi, or
you could see them other places. Paradise
Bar and Grill in Pensacola Beach, Florida, and see them there for a whole lot less money.
Yeah, that's it. Well, it just shows you kind of how the music's getting around now to different crowds, different people. You got any funny stories? Is there anybody that, like, you thought they were going to be a certain way, but they really weren't that way at all? Or somebody that was I don't know if we want to talk about these, it's a pain in the butt, but is there any kind of like things that have happened that kind of stick out in your mind that over the years?
Not that I can think of.
Yeah.
I really haven't had any standout encounters with blues people.
I mean, I've seen your work.
For,
They just kind of let you keep going through the crowd, and and nobody kind of bothers you. I mean, you just do your thing.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. I'm just well received by majority of the blues artists. The only time I had an issue was with Irma Thomas.
I've heard that she can be a little testy.
Well, she was performing at Ground Zero, and she politely told me I could finish recording the video that I was recording, but she didn't want me recording anymore, and I said, fine. So I respected her enough to finish recording what I was doing and deleted the video off of my phone and did not post it anywhere.
Yeah, let me kind of, for the audience that doesn't know, and I've been around, right now I've got a song my dad wrote in 1955 called Big Rock Joe from Kokomo for the legendary Piano Red, which was our house piano man through our country music club and then on into our supper club.
Right.
And Piano Red, if you know a little bit about the blues, he had a brother, Speckle Red. These guys were albino players, very unusual, but nicest people in the world, and just they're definitely cosmic. And they had their best friend in Atlanta was a guy from the 30s on, was a guy named Blind Willie McTell that wrote Statesboro Blues, which the Allman Brothers obviously went on to have a gigantic hit with that song, but that was their buddy, Blind Willie McTell, and they were fixtures, around Atlanta through the 30s, 40s, 50s, and Piano Red actually became kind of a rock star. Some college kids picked up, I think, in the 60s
Right.
and 70s. Changed his name to Dr. Feelgood, which I thought was kind of dumb. But, whatever. He's trying to make a living. But there's a couple stories we were talking about. We were talking about Underground Atlanta. If you don't know, that's been 2 or 3 different versions. That's closed and reopened. They had some violence problems and all. But Underground Atlanta is actually the original Atlanta before Sherman marched on Atlanta in the Civil War and leveled Atlanta.
Right.
And then they built the new city over the top of the old city. And somebody got the bright idea back in, I guess, the 60s to go down under the town and start refurbishing these businesses. And also, there's like a catacombs actually down there, different kind of clubs.
Right.
And it became the thing. But like all good things like that, the wrong crowd got involved and drugs, and there was issues with that. But
yes.
Here's a Piano Red story, and I got a bunch of them. But
yeah, because Piano Red played
Mulligans.
frequently in
He played mostly at a place called Mulligans. Well, we moved to Miami in '58, so it was
Right.
all over for us in Atlanta as far as the club. And I mean, to this day, I meet people my age and older. I met some ladies from Buckhead the other day at the Floribama. They go, are you related to Joe Cotton? I go, yeah, that was my dad. And my grandfather was Joe Sr. He owned the restaurant out on Whitehall Street, Joe Cotton's Drive-In. We actually had another restaurant called the Cotton Patch, which was directly across the street from the Varsity.
Yes.
And then they put in the freeway. It took us out completely, and it took out part of the Varsity, and that's when the Varsity started going up with more levels. That was when Nipsey Russell was actually a car hop there, the comedian. But they gave us enough money. We went on a Whitehall and opened a big, we had 50 car hops. That drive-in was so big. But that's when we did the club at Baker and Peachtree. And
well, do you remember Blues Harbor in Buckhead?
That was after my time. That's later. Okay, we left in '58. But anyway, here's a Piano Red story. So this is like in the 60s. So my brother's a little older than me. So let's just say I was 18 to 20, and my brother was maybe mid-20s. So we hear Reds down at Mulligan's in the underground where he usually played. He played like up in the glass window thing or something. We walked up behind that guy. Now, we are older. Our voices had changed, and he knew us as kids. And we each put our hand on his shoulder, and together we said, "Hey, Red, how you doing?" He goes, "Mr. Joe's boys." We almost passed out, and this guy didn't even turn around. How he knew it was us, there's and the blues can kind of be like that. If you read like certain stories and I don't know what's the term, the superstitious part of it and all. There's the stories of Robert Johnson selling his soul to the devil and all that. And You know, it
Right.
makes for good reading, but, you know, I take all of that with a grain of salt. You just got to get out there and it's like, how do you get to Carnegie Hall? You got to practice, practice, practice. You know?
Exactly.
But and some people have me. I'm classically trained. I could not read a note of music right now if you paid me $1 million. Well, I mean, if you paid me $1 million, I could read a note. But you'd lose all that once you get over into the blues side. It's. I mean, I've been sitting in bands. I'm back playing a lot, probably 4 to 5 nights a week. I find a band and I sit in with them, and they sometimes will go, "Do you know the song?" I said, "What key is it in?" And they go, I go, "Well, go ahead." And then yeah, usually if it's a blues or roots song, I can kind of figure it out. But I
Right.
feel it. I feel it as much as technically knowing where to put my fingers on the bass to play the notes. You know, a lot of times. So it's that's a gift, I think. You know, and that really goes back to childhood and hanging out with the folks that were the farm help on our property in Alabama.
Right.
They
Well,
were-
when I was
yeah.
a child, my mother taught piano, so I was basically forced to take lessons from her.
Imagine that.
And because of that, I grew to dislike practicing and playing, although I had the ability to play music by ear. If I hadn't been forced into taking lessons from her, I might still be playing
It's never too late, Ruth.
today. I even paid for organ lessons and was learning to play on an organ that had 3 or 4 keyboards on it. But
You need a Hammond B3 with twin Leslies. That's what you need. I hauled one of those around for a blind keyboard player for several years. We had to have a whole separate Now today it's all electronic, and
Right.
you get a Hammond sound almost. Who's already Chris Alexander? I'm amazed with him, the sound that he gets out of those electric keyboards. But I think he actually has a Leslie he'll play.
oh yes,
Yeah.
yes he
So
does.
it's got that. The Hammond folks that don't know, that's that big old organ you'd see in church, and it looks like a piece of furniture. And there's these big cabinets next
Hammond
to it.
B3.
Yeah, B3, the best one that Hammond made, and they're all good. But that cabinet actually has 2 speakers in it on a platform, and they control the speed of those speakers spinning in a circle, and that's what gives it that kind of that warm, gutsy feeling. I mean, that's why
That
I play.
vibrato.
Yeah, I play tube amps. I don't ever play a solid state bass amp or a guitar. But the tubes, it's like today, vinyl records are making this big comeback because the kids are going, you know, that's got like a warmer, more authentic kind of gritty
Tone.
sound to it, you know, and it's true. It's just, you know, when we played Shades of Blue, you looked at us, you looked at what we were wearing, and you looked at the equipment and go, are these guys some kind of freaking museum? Well, we were. We were trying to reach back in history to recapture, not that we didn't do original or rearranged stuff, but we just felt like that music deserved that respect to get back and try to replicate what these guys were doing, and then eventually doing our own thing, and it worked. You know, it was. But I'd send guys. They showed up in a t-shirt and jeans. I said, "Go back to your house and change." Why? I'm just going to play. Oh yeah, you're going to play. But all the people out in the audience, they're not paying to see somebody that looks like them during the week. They want to. If you add a show to the playing, now you really got something. We got to play good, but you know what's wrong with having a show? I mean, the Fabulous Rockets, so folks, we're going to run through some names of artists and try to get, when we go into what we call post-production, we do some minor editing, that we're going to try to insert these pictures, which I think Ruth's got pictures of just about everybody in the business, but we're going to talk about some of those pictures. But anyway, I don't know where I was going with that. Let's go back. Let's go to the pictures because it's just about you. I'm going to we're going to put one up of me and the late Reverend, not so Reverend Jimmy Taft, playing at Blues Tavern in Mobile. Is that still there? The Blues Tavern, is that still open?
It used to be on Government Boulevard
Right, I think
in
that's
Mobile, but since they moved to a new location, I haven't been.
Okay. Yeah, and this happens with clubs. I mean, it's seldom that they last forever and ever. You know.
I mean, they still operate
Yeah.
in the locations they moved to, but I just don't go over there.
Yeah, yeah. Well, anyway, it was a great gig. I mean, for a while, it was one of those. It's like a joint, you know, little funky place, and but those are sometimes the best shows. So hopefully, Mark, in the post production on this show, I'll show you which picture is that. All right, so you just showed me of a picture of a guy I've been following since the '70s. Actually, voting for him. I think it was on my radio show too, is Johnny Sansone. So tell me a little bit about that guy. He's a little different harmonica player, right? And she got a great picture of him literally crawling across the stage, holding somebody's hand or something. I mean, it's just one of those pictures that blew my mind.
Yes, yes. Well, Johnny Sansone is from, I believe, the New Orleans area. In addition to harmonica, he also plays guitar and accordion.
Yep, and good at all. And
Yes.
he comes over here. It was coming for about once a year. We keep mentioning Paradise, Pensacola Beach. This is just an amazing club. In fact, we were talking about Joey Gilmore. He was there 3 or 4 times.
Well,
Joey told me when I moved up here in '92, chased a girl up here. Of course, that never works out, but I stayed. He goes, man, you need to go down to this place called the Blocks. They'll just love you, man. They'll just tell you got to stay there and help them keep you going. I'm like, oh, okay. So I go down there to the Blocks, which is Belmont and DeVillers section of Pensacola, which back in the day, probably the 50s, 60s, and maybe early 70s, this was Pensacola's Harlem, if you will. And the clubs were there. All the great black artists that was on the Chitlin circuit of, Ray Charles, Aretha Franklin, Denise LaSalle, Bobby Bland, B.B. King, all of them played. It was on the circuit. And Joey played for a lesser-known guy, but if you know blues, you know a song called Driving Wheel, and that was a guy named Junior Parker. And Joey told me he toured with him when he was 15 or 16, and he had to have a note from his parents. He goes, oh, man, the crowd of Pensacola, he said, was just something different there. Nobody thought much about it. Yeah, we're going to New York, going to Chicago, going to Memphis. Pensacola? And he said this little section of town was just jumping on the weekends and holidays. So I go down there. It's like a Tuesday afternoon, and this is in the early '90s. They still had a payphone in front of where Gussie's record store used to be.
Right.
So I picked up the payphone and I called Joey. I go, hey Joey, I'm at the Blocks. He goes, oh yeah, what's going on? I says, the only thing going on here, Joey, is there's tumbleweed coming down the street right now at me. He goes, really? I said, yeah, man. But I says, I'm talking to the locals, and they said they're trying to get something going here, so I'll keep you posted. Unfortunately, Joey passed, I think a year ago, something like that. In fact, I'm going down there on the 8th to do a eulogy for the 3 original band members of Shades of Blue who have all died. I'm the only guy that's alive now, and probably some others, but yeah, you start losing them, and they're gone, but their music lives on forever. But Joey was like South Florida's B.B. King. Kind of looked a little like B.B. King. Maybe,
sure.
Maybe his son, and he'd gone on local from down there. He toured Europe many times, but he toured the States. But I mean, you start out 15 with somebody like Junior Parker. That's you're gonna see what it's all about.
Well, Johnny Sansone was just recently, I believe, this month, in April. He was with about 6 other artists, including Grayson Capps and Corky Hughes and John Fole.
Corky Hughes, now the white guy that goes way back.
Over at the Frog Pond Sunday Social in Silver Hill, Alabama.
Talk about this picture you got of him crawling on the stage. What was that all about? I mean, it's the blues, I can tell, but it's heavy.
Well, that was a moment where Johnny Sansone was performing at the Bogalusa Blues and Heritage Festival, and he kneeled down in front of a little black girl that was standing right in front of the stage, and just got down on his hands and knees, bowed his head, and clasped her hand, and I happened to be right there when he did it.
You got the shot, that's for sure.
Got the shot.
Yeah. I've done, that's a term we use, and Dave Barnes and I have done well over 100 national news stories, and the saying is, we don't care what you do, get the shot. You just got to get the shot. We've actually been in some hairy situations, but okay. And that other one we're going to show you is me and Jimmy Taft. We're all decked out in our blues stuff, hats and everything, and I think I'm doing like a back bend. That's amazing. I didn't fall over on my head, but Ruth caught this. I don't know if you know the photo, but everything there is just like, wow. But most people see the photograph, they don't think it's me. They think it's somebody.
Fabulous Rockets.
Yeah. Rockits. It was a great band. We were a little volatile towards each other, if you know what I mean. Older players kind of, it's hard because you have your mind made up of how something should be. But Jimmy was, unfortunately for Jimmy, he could have been one of those top blues rockin' players. I mean, we played a lot of places. I even took him on tour throughout Central Florida.
Right.
Rest of northern Florida, people got, but we were kind of like a shooting star. We took off. We were on a roll for probably 2 years, and then Jimmy kind of got. I think his health was catching up with him.
Right.
And but he died peacefully. If you knew Jimmy, he could give you a little ornery. But on his deathbed, he made amends to everybody, and it was a beautiful thing. I guess I should write a song about it. So people can change, and
Right.
he just had a fast trigger on his temper, so to speak. But he just loved the music too. I mean, he just went. I mean, and just what he knew about it, he must have had 20 guitars. I mean, just incredible. But we lived it, we did it. A lot of us around here knew him. Said that guy was a great player. Somebody's mentioned the other day his name, and said he just didn't really get the respect he got. Well, Jimmy had a habit of, I'd get us lined up for a festival, then he'd piss off the promoter. It's like, Jimmy. In fact, it came to a point. Now I can tell these stories. We were at a biker bar down in South Brevard County, I think, around Melbourne, Vero, that area. And Jimmy and we had a guy doing merchandise for us, went up to the owner and tried to give him some swags, a T-shirt and a hat and all. The guy says, "Hey, I'm busy right now, but I'll get with you guys later." And they wouldn't take no for an answer. Next thing I know, they're standing in the parking lot having a knockdown, drag-out argument with the owner of a bike. Did I say biker bar? Okay, not that all bikers are bad, because I'm hang with them all the time. And
Yeah.
I could tell you some stories there, but I went up to them and I said, "We have a new rule in the band. You no longer in a club, you could only talk to the waitress to order your drink or food. If I see you talking to a manager or the owner, I'm taking my truck, I'm going back to Pensacola, and I'll give you the keys to the trailer with the equipment. See you later." They're like, no, don't leave. I said, "You got to understand, you guys, let me handle the business, okay? And we won't have these arguments." I mean, it was over something stupid, really. I mean, it was just the guy. I'm busy, right now.
Right.
But
Well, do you remember that Hidden Valley Resort?
oh, is that the nudist colony up in the north part of the county?
Yes, I had.
Our drummer Steve Turpak was a member. They played. Later on, they tried to keep the band going. They played up there. I go.
I
"Yep."
know, because they had me come up there and take pictures of the band.
Was the band naked or what? Did they have clothes on?
Oh, the band had clothes on.
Yeah.
I kept my clothes on.
The rest of the crowd was. But
during the time that the people at the resort, including the band members, were not playing. Some of them were not fully clothed. That was.
Well, I guess you got blues fans of all types out there.
That was quite an experience.
Clothing optional blues show. All right, let's some of those other pictures. Let's talk about Bobby Rush, who's a legend. He's in his 90s now. He's still out there. He just released an album with a blues rocker. It was Kenny Wayne Shepherd. I think he just cut an album with Kenny Wayne Shepherd. It's pretty wild.
They've done a new CD together, and I can't remember the title of it off the top of my head, but they're on tour together now.
That's like the old and the new
right.
together, which is what it's about, because so much in this music, I mean, I've had people literally say, when does the kind of preaching and talking stop and the music start? It's hard. It's really kind of, you're testifying, just like in church, and you're doing music at the same time. And I mean, when you hear songs like "I'm a Man," "Muddy Waters," and those ones where they have all these stops, they'll talk, then they'll play. They'll talk, then they'll play. So it's really, to me, in my life, and I've been a musician off and on since the 50s. I've been to 15 different countries as a traveling, what we call soul surfer. Screw the contest. I want to go where there's nobody, or me and my buds, and we found a wave nobody actually knows about, but it's in the freaking jungle somewhere, and we would do that. And so I know that culture, which is very different from the Kelly Slater and the contests and all the money. The other thing is we've done that in news. Recent times we've gone, David and I took a film crew to Vietnam for our film Back to China Beach. We did a film about two Christian groups, one in Honduras and one in America, building schools for kids, which Honduras, if you don't know, that's the poorest country in all of Latin America. It's just devastating down there. And so we've gone these places. And then there's the bikers. I had my favorite uncle, had about 12 uncles, was Uncle Dixie Webb, and he was a biker right out of World War II, bought a couple of Indians, was asked to join the Booze Fighters, which I think the Booze Fighters could have been the second club. The first club's the Outlaws. As far as I know, in 1935 they started in Western Illinois, and then after World War II, this is where a lot of them came from. These guys were like, force recon, fighter pilots, gunners. They were bored with life, so that's why they got on these bikes and started. But they've all been, to me, the bikers, the surfers, and in music, I'll have to break it down to the blues musician. These are almost like, they're almost kind of like cults, but they're kind of a society within themselves. They have a certain language. They like certain food. They got a certain vibe. And I would say these are the last of the Wild West.
Right, exactly.
They really are like cowboys and cowgirls, back then.
There's a bar down in Sebastian, Florida, called Earl's Hideaway.
Played there, yeah. Oh, well.
Right, and they attract a lot of bikers.
Yeah, all down through that area. Well, I'm going to be. I got invited, and I'm just blown away now that I've gotten older. People are coming on. You need to do this for us. So I'm kind of having to be a spokesperson and carry on with these stories and all, and the music. And in the surfing world too, I still do a lot of on-air stuff. But Thunder Beach, which I was doing a motorcycle rally at the Pensacola Fairgrounds, I believe in '99, and Pensacola Motorcycle Rally, everybody said we should do one. I go, oh, fine, let's do one.
Right.
You do a festival, it's like going into combat without people shooting at you. And sometimes people do shoot at you when you're doing an outdoor festival. It can be. I've had everything happen to me, but locusts attack me. And Ruth, it's early in the day here. The locusts could show up. But somebody came up, so they're traditional, like every other festival. It's a bike rally, it's a festival. It's usually Friday night, all day Saturday night, and then Sunday, and then everybody goes home. So Sunday afternoon, we were wrapping up. Somebody tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Are you Mike Cotton?" I go, "Yeah." He goes, "I'm from the Panama City Beach Tourist Development Council, and we'd like for you to come over this week and be our guest. We're going to put you up. We want to see what the potential would be to turn Panama City Beach into a major motorcycle rally." I says, 27 miles of beautiful beaches, and you got 200 hotels. I think you got the potential. There's no question. The question is, are the people going to get behind it to make it happen? Because this is a big deal. So, long story longer, I went over there. We did a 6-month project that would normally take close to a year. We launched Thunder Beach, around 13,000 bikes that first year. I think today, this is their 25th year, somewhere in there. And
cool.
They're up to, I think their biggest number for the spring rally is 80,000 bikes. And then they have a fall rally, kind of like Oktoberfest or Biketoberfest in Daytona, that maybe has about half that.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking more the Daytona rally.
Yeah, well, they wrap those around. They don't do them on the same dates, but they are somewhat for vendors and all competitive. Well, anyway, I was talking to Hundley. I can't even think of his first name now, and he has his blues band over there for decades. And we were talking. I said, how'd you like the guy that put together Thunder Beach sit in with your band at the rally? Because he plays the rally every year. And he goes, man, that would be cool. Now, one of the other guys in his band is, I don't know if you know the name David Goldflies, but he, after Barry Oakley died, he played in the Allman Brothers for 5 years, I believe, with, I think, the area with Dangerous, the Toller Brothers were there. And he cut a couple albums with them. Well, he lives in Panama City, nice guy.
Right.
And I says, well, did you ask David? He says, David's the one that said, we need Mike to come over. He says, this is going to be freaking great because David could sing while I'm playing. So I was asked to go over there and play Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday of this week. I didn't know my calendar. I kind of at that point now I have some part-time assistants, so I guess that makes me a big deal because I can't keep up with where I'm supposed to be sometimes. And I'm getting a little older and forgetful, and I'm a little dyslexic. In fact, I thought our other guest for today was coming on when you came on, but it doesn't matter. It's all good. So you're right and I'm wrong. So, but anyway, just to show you, tomorrow night I'll be in Fort Walton Beach with a major tribute to Vietnam veterans, which I have a soft spot for, and did the film Back to China Beach now, which is being touted as the best film ever done about Vietnam. This is the reviews from the Vietnam veterans, not the stuffed shirts in Hollywood.
Right.
These are the people that were there going, there's no political slants, it's truth. Well, I have a bet on the table for I've got 6 documentaries that we own, me and Dave Barnes. If you can find any fake news in there, I'll give you $1,000 cash right now. And in 14 years, we've been working on these documentaries. Nobody's collected. So
I dealt with a lot of veterans in my 33-year
Yeah,
career with the
and
VA.
I didn't go, so I've got a little bit of a guilt thing there that I didn't go, but yet many friends went, friends that didn't come back, friends that had problems when they came back. So the film really, as a kind of a quirky guy surfing in the middle of a battle, ends up we follow, and I knew it would happen. It follows their whole 55 years to today. Well,
Right.
it's 50 years, I think, to tomorrow, since the Vietnam War. The papers were signed, and it officially ended. You know, basically in a stalemate. We could have won that war in months if we wanted to. You got to let the warriors fight wars, and the politicians need to stay out of it. Okay, because
Exactly.
you know politicians know how to steal your money, but they don't know how to fight wars. You know, but you know these guys I talked to, some of them very high up generals and all I've interviewed said, you know, it was so frustrating for us because we knew what we had to do to go in there. I mean, our power, air power, and all so superior. But if we had just fired all guns at once and gone in, I don't know if it had been over in weeks or months, but I think within a year, maybe 2 years. But they had already fought the French for a decade or two before we got there. Ran them out, you know. Anyway, I got off track. Rocky Blyer, who many of you know, Rocky, 4-time Super Bowl champion with the Pittsburgh Steelers, with Terry Bradshaw and Franco Harris, who just recently passed away, was also a Bronze Star winner in Vietnam, combat veteran, who only had been in country, I think, about a month and got in a firefight. He's a running back from Notre Dame, All-American, won the national championship, got shot in the leg, and soon thereafter he said he looked up in the air and here comes a hand grenade, missed him and hit his captain in the back. And it popped up and he hit the hand grenade like it hit a baseball, and it blew up. Shrapnel went into his other leg, and he was in the hospital in and out for about 2 months. He was told to never play football again. The Rooneys and Art Rooney, the old man, senior, gave him 2 years to rehab, and he finally made the team and went on to win 4 Super Bowls in 6 years. I'm like, so tomorrow he is the keynote speaker in Fort Walton, and we'll be there with all our China Beach T-shirts. So I can't miss that. Sorry, Thunder Beach, but I'll make Wednesday next year. You know,
Well,
I'll be there in the fall.
That's wonderful. But you know, when you look back over the years at the various wars that have taken place, like World War I, II, and III, and the Vietnam War,
Well,
and
we
all
haven't got
that,
to 3 yet, but we're almost there.
the type of music that was played during each of those wars was different.
Yep.
Different. We had a whole back then with the Vietnam War. It was mainly rock and roll.
Yeah,
and,
classic rock, mostly. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But you know, it's funny. I mean, I grew up. I'm a child of the '60s, and I grew up, you know, going to high school, junior high in the '60s. I guess
Right.
they call it middle school now. But I'd been, when I was by the time I was 10 or 11 years old, I had the old 45s. I must have had 500 45s back then. I just couldn't get. Then the 33s came out. But the music is it's the voice or the language of an era, and
Right.
so people ask us, like with China Beach, are you going to put the usual suspects in there? We got to get out of this place by the Animals. War, what's that good for? By I forget the artist's name.
Eric Burdon.
Eric Burdon was we got to get out of this place. It's the last thing we ever do. But the Doors, This Is the End. And I said, you know, those are all great. All my kids got raised on that music. They're still playing it today. I said, but you know what? We're different. This is a different kind of film. It's a documentary, but it's like, this is going to jump out of the screen and affect your mind and your heart, and it's going to make you feel like you're going to feel what these guys felt, and we did accomplish that. What's Rocky
Sure.
became part of it? You know, that happened. But so I don't know if you know Tony Pasco. He's kind of.
Oh yes.
Okay, so Tony.
I'm friends with him.
Yeah, he's from Chicago, but he spent quite a few years in. In fact, we're trying to get on the show right now. Tony, where are you? I know you go to travel all over the world. Give me a call. So he was at PV Electronics for years. He was a R&D guy, research and development, and did all the shows. Somehow ended up in Pensacola, and I met him. We were working on a project for the Blues Marker at Five Sisters to put a concert to go find all these artists like Gwen McRae and these people, Nick Blackwood, people that were famous or semi-famous back in the 50s and 60s, and so we did that. So we went to Tony. He did all the music for China Beach, and it's just mood music. It's if we're in a swamp, it's swamp music, whatever. So it's all 100% original music. This show, when you hear the opening music, closing music, that's Tony Pasco. So it's unlike anything else. And he's, I like his list of stuff. The problem with Tony, I think commercially, is most the people that really enjoy his music are the people that are musicians, somewhat.
Exactly.
It may be a little way out, but he's not that jazzy that you lose the people. You can,
Right.
It's, I get with beboppers. I mean, I grew up around Ira Sullivan, Chubby Jackson, as a real young child. I mean, Count Basie, Duke Ellington played. I met all these guys. Like the Dorsey brothers, when they made up and did their last tour, I go to the club on Saturdays. They'd be rehearsing, so I pick up all the beer bottles. When I'm done with that, I says, "Can I go sit with the band?" My dad let me sit up on the stage next to those guys, and with Piano Red, and just, what do you want to hear, Mike? I don't know. You play what you want to play. But
Right.
as a child, you have no idea who these people are.
Well, you were talking about blues markers. My good friend Johnny Cole runs a publication called the Southland Music Line. And Stephen Anderson, another friend of mine, does photography for them. And they have another lady named Deborah that helps write some of the columns for that publication. And they've been doing a wonderful series on the Mississippi Blues Trail markers.
Yep. We got 2 in Florida. One in Tallahassee, Dave C.C. Well, was Dave C.C. at one time, but I think that club's closed down, Bradfordville.
Might be, but I know they've got a Blues Trail marker over at Five Sisters.
Yeah, and that's the only other one.
Right, and plus a whole bunch of them in Mississippi, and that's why
they
I
call it the
mentioned that
Mississippi
in
Blues
reference
Marker.
to the one you were talking about at Five Sisters.
Yeah, and that we did a whole thing there. Gwen McRae came. She couldn't perform. She was in a wheelchair, but she's from here. Listen, Ruth, Snoopy Mark Schultz over there, our producer who's really controlling everything, says we're kind of running out of time. I do want to mention
He's doing a fabulous job.
Thank you. He's unbelievable. You don't see him, you don't hear him, but you'll see the end result when we get this done and it goes up on the. It's going to be on all of my Facebook pages. I think I got 8 different Facebook pages. We have numerous other people that repost it, but the source for the shows are on YouTube, and all you do is grab those links, and then you can take it. It's available to everybody. There's no charge. You can repost it. Ruth, you can put it on your Facebook page, wherever you want to put that. I do want to mention, just to pay a little bit of the rent here, Mike Cotton Productions right now, can you imagine that, is actually sponsors this show from top to bottom. We have some other new sponsors coming soon, Mark, but I did want to tell you a little bit about this little company that I've been involved in now for a couple of decades. Started out with Dave Barnes, and we still do every time I film a film. He's the co-producer and director. But we've kind of settled into our niche. We obviously produce film and video, anything from a 15-minute commercial up to an hour-and-a-half documentary, features even, but we usually just help on a big feature film out of Hollywood. We don't really self-produce it. We do have corporate films, everything. The other thing we do that I kind of picked up from Dave Barnes, because he was getting so busy, is digitizing. That's taking all those old records laying in the box, the videotapes, slides, transparencies, all of that's degrading. I like to say it's all analog, but it's not really all analog, but a lot of it is degrades. And we just, tip for today is, if you look at audio tape or videotape, it's got a metallic coating. What is metallic? I'll answer it. It's metal. What does metal do over a period of time if it's exposed anyway to the elements? It rusts. And that's what's happening to tape. Film tends to just fade out, or it'll delaminate, and it gets what they call, I can't think of it. It's like rotten egg syndrome or something like that. It starts to smell funny, actually. But we do more different types of media than pretty much anybody in America. Do not send your stuff to the big companies you're advertising all the time. Just go on social media and start reading their reviews, because about half of them are, "You suck and I'll never use you again." I mean, I had a lady the other day, she did a comment. After 6 months instead of 2 months, she thought 300 photographs back, and she had 100. The problem was they weren't her photographs.
Oh, no.
They were beautiful. So what are you going to do? These people don't answer the phone. They don't answer an email. Nobody knows where they are. Some of them have some big commercial names, but that's not really that company. They're renting the name. But we're all about customer service. We just opened a new division actually this morning. We're going back through our storage, and we're pulling all our good used DVD decks, tape decks, record players, amps. So we're pulling that, cleaning it up. Anything that's good and works, we're putting a good price on it. So we're now dealing in used electronic equipment. You can buy it, or if you just want to rent it for the weekend because you want to play some tapes to see what's on there before you have us digitize them, we can do that as well.
I saw your post on that.
Yeah. Yep. Well, good. Then we know it's working. So we like to say, you got to use it or lose it. But if you don't digitize, it's going to pulverize. So anyway, and you can find me MikeCottonProductions.com. Go to the bottom of the page. There's 2 buttons. One will take you to the YouTube channel. The other one will take you to our main Facebook page. So Ruth, where are we going from here? You got a festival lined up this next weekend, or where are you going? What's going on?
Actually, I've got about 9 music events lined up for May. Majority of them at Ground Zero Blues Club, Biloxi, with 2 or 3 over at Paradise Bar and Grill in Pensacola Beach. And then in June, a few more events lined up at Ground Zero. And then, of course, the big one on the 29th of June, the Pensacola Blues Festival.
Yeah.
That's at Phineas Fogg's in Seville Quarter.
Well, that's great. And once you see this, go to the Facebook page. You know what Ruth looks like. Well, she'll have a camera. But go up and say hi to her and tell her you heard her show on their stories, and you enjoyed it. But now you can put the face with the voice. And I think we had a great show. We have to bring you back again. We're gonna run a bunch more photographs. Got another gig to go to down the road. We got another guest coming on board. But we appreciate you tuning in. Share this with your friends, and we've got already about a dozen guests already lined up. People are calling in from around the country that know us, and they're wanting to be on the show. I think you actually learn something. It's kind of like our documentaries. You actually learn something on the show, and I think it's entertaining. And it's we do a lot of stuff. It's behind the scenes. In fact, my orthopedic surgeon, Dr. Dabaziz, has now agreed to come on the show because everybody asks me about, well, what was your hip surgery like, and is it like a knee surgery? Like I'm a doctor. I'm like, yeah, well, I can tell you a little bit about it, but first of all, I'm knocked out when they're doing it, so I don't really see what he's doing. But
yeah.
But a lot of it, at this point now, in surfing, a lot of my buddies, they can't get up on the board, and they think it's their knees. Same with me, and it was a hip, and so this is something. And what they do today is, and I've had open heart surgery and some other things, so it's pretty phenomenal what they do. But so this is all good stuff. It's a way to go to school and be entertained at the same time.
Exactly.
Thank you, Ruth Spicer. We hope to see you again. I know I'm going to see you out there in the club, so maybe get one where I'm going to backbend. I promise not to fall on the stage, though, when I do a backbend. Okay?
I know you won't.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks, Bart. We're out of here.